Hey, man, it's Dukes and Bell. It is our pre-show. We call it Behind the Curtain. We got a lot going on today, man. We got Wes Dermott's going to stop by, Chad Bishop to talk Georgia Tech as they continue to lose players and maneuver through this offseason. But, Mike, I think a lot of people are still talking about what they heard yesterday from not only Raheem Morris, but also from Kirk Cousins. And that's kind of where we want to start, guys. You'll hear from Alex Anthopoulos today. He joined us actually on Tuesday and gave us the full layout of what the Braves are doing. But, man, I'll say this. You talked about all the response you got from friends and people that were listening yesterday. I got similar response when I got home last night and started looking through some of the stuff that people were sending me because I wasn't paying attention yesterday. A lot of people were interested in what Kirk had to say yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, like we hadn't had a chance to really do the full debrief, since he stopped being the starting quarterback, so that was the first chance other than some conversations we had off the air. So it was kind of cool to say, hey, man. And he said, nah, it wasn't about panics. It's about basically it's just competitive nature that he was never going to take himself out because I felt, if you had like a journeyman quarterback, would it have been different? He certainly was not, happy about the fact they went with a quarterback in the draft. And regardless if he was going to be forthcoming with us, he did tell us that, when he got to the Super Bowl and he was doing those interviews, he probably, put it all out there. And he was probably a little more forthcoming than he should have been, saying that, I was really banged up and I was, not 100%, but that's what a competitor does, basically trying to keep his job. Unfortunately, it coincided with us having a rookie quarterback the coaching staff wasn't prepared to move to when the season was in the balance last year, and now this year the season's already gone and he's certainly uplifting the offense. Did we lose Carl?
I don't think so.
Oh, hey, I'm here. I apologize. Okay. I just got a call. And again, if you're wondering where the hell I am, I'm literally out getting some shopping done. and trying to get some stuff done. Being out of town for the last few weeks, and I'm a little behind on some things. So I'm out and about. But
Carl, I like Kirk. I like Kirk. We joked around. I said to him to start the interview, I said, man, I kind of had like a bromance going before the season started. And now we asked him specifically, and I get it. He's not going to give you the answer. I said, hey, man, would you come back if they guaranteed you the starting role? Would you be willing to work with the team? I said, I think you used the phrase amenable contract, for guys who are from ball ground. That means, would you work with the Falcons? And he said, that's a conversation for February, which it is. And I don't think his agent would want him to say anything otherwise. But it still leaves us, Carl, as far as fans, in the lurch, not knowing where we're going to be a quarterback going into next season with Penix's injury.
Yeah, look, Kirk and Diddy, I'll let you expound on this, but he's a likable dude. And I think people, if you just listen to yesterday, if you didn't know anything about him and you listen yesterday, you get a sense of why teammates dig him, why he's likable, why he's been a leader, and why he's made so much damn money in the NFL. Look, if he sits down with GMs and owners and gives you what he gave us yesterday, there's nobody in the league that doesn't want Kirk Cousins. But it's about fit. It's about, timing and when things are available. And, from that standpoint, Mike, I agree with you. I love the dude from a personal standpoint. Performance-wise, he admitted he played himself out of a job. And, he had an opportunity. He blew it when the shoulder went out. And now he's trying to play himself back into not only starting here, but maybe somewhere else. But, Diddy, I think the biggest thing yesterday, this is what I took, by the way, guys. Leadership. You hear it and you sense it in Kirk Cousins. And I'm not going to tell you that Michael Penix is not a leader, but he's not a leader who's been in the league for 14 years. And that is fundamentally the difference right now between Kirk Cousins and, Michael Penix is on that learning path and that learning curve. But you heard that yesterday. Mike, when he answered your question about, why can't Pitts and Drake be, more involved, he was like, he didn't shy away from that. He could have easily said, well, it's up to the offensive coordinator. He was like, I don't see why that has to be mutually exclusive. These are things we can do. That's what leaders do on a team. And so that's what you're hearing from Kirk Cousins. And look, if they go 3-0 and win out, it will feel good. It will suck because we're not going to the playoffs. But I think for Kirk Cousins, it'll be a big thing in his back pocket that he can say, look what happened when I took over this football team. Did
Yeah, and there were so many things to take away from, just those couple of questions. Like you said, when Mike asked about, his future with the team, him saying it's a February conversation. But if you remember earlier in the conversation with you guys, one of the things he talked about was, over his career, he always realized that the longer he spent time with the coordinator, the better things got for him. And so with that being said, that's something he's probably got to look at too. Okay, if I go elsewhere, I got to begin the whole process of a new coordinator. Do I want to go through that process? If I want to stay with Atlanta, are they going to consider bringing in a new coordinator, or do I want to champion for Zach Robinson to stay on
Right.
board? So, a lot to take away from, just so many different little things he was dropping in there, throughout the conversation with you guys, especially when you start looking towards the fact that the reality of it is, and Carl, you said it at the end of the show, like Falcons, if we're honest with ourselves, they are better off trying to have a conversation with Kirk Cousins to retain him. Yes, I know the money. Everybody agrees. There's no one on this planet that doesn't agree. It doesn't make sense to pay him the amount of money that we're going to have to pay him. But I do think it is in the best interest of probably both parties. Granted, he's probably got the upper hand, but the Falcons deserve to have a meeting with Kirk at the end of this season and say, listen, we're better off keeping you around. What's it going to take to keep you here until we know for sure Michael Penix Jr. is 100% ready to take over this offense?
Right.
Yeah. And look, the cost of business to sign him was $100 million guaranteed. The cost of business to retain his services and have him restructured, I think, is going to be worth it because of the circumstances we're in. But that's just where I'm at. Look, if we had, Mike, a plan B, which they don't, and we knew we were going to be able to sign, hell, you brought up Russell Wilson. I'll use him as an example. I don't want Russell Wilson, but if we knew there was a plan B and there was a capable guy that could come in here and play for 5-6 weeks, and you felt comfortable with that for a lot less money, then they would do that. But the reality is, if you look around the league, guys, it's journeyman. It is literally guys that are retreaded and haven't really been winners in this league, even though some of them have been backups for many years. I don't feel comfortable starting the season with that. Oh, by the way, let me tell you what Arthur Blank's going to say. Mike, that does not get this fan base enthusiastic about where we are going at all.
No. I mean, like I said, there's options. I mean, Raheem stays, but you have new coordinators. Look, Raheem's a CEO anyway. I mean, Raheem is that guy. That's maybe a conversation. We haven't really had that. What is your job? We've talked about, he kind of oversees things. And that's why it was so funny to see him get so animated, because some Falcon fans go, all I ever see Raheem doing is looking at the camera on the wire. And again, if you didn't watch the Amazon game Thursday night, he's like, you're going to blank and call that? Like, he's all animated. Fans are like, yeah. Remember, it's like when Matt Ryan said, get the F off my field, right?
Yeah, people lost.
These guys are real competitors. Well, no shit, Sherlock. They're playing in the Pro Football League, But in the case of Raheem, look, I think it would be a hard sell if Raheem came back. But I think Zach Robinson, Day laid it out. If Kirk's coming back, there's no idea. Carl and I said off the air, I think if I had to bet right now, it's 80% sure Kirk is gone. He's not coming back. And they got to mitigate that cap hit. You touched on it, Carl, a post-June 1st designation to try to maybe make it a little more palpable with the cap. So you're going to have to be stuck with some journeyman, or because there's no way they're going to take a flyer on some guy in the second or third round. We already had that experience. It was called Desmond Ridder, right? So you're going to have to get one of those guys, whether it's Garoppolo, with the guy we're going to see, Jacoby Brissett, whoever, and then hope that Penix Jr. comes back. It's going to be strange. You're going to lean on that defense, man, next season. We're cool with Ulbrich. Special teams coach got to go as well. Marquise, got to go.
No doubt. It is Dukes and Bell, guys. It is our pre-show. We call it Behind the Curtain. We'll be live today at 2 o'clock back in the studio. As we mentioned, Wes is going to stop by, the voice of the Falcons, and Chad as well, to talk some Georgia Tech. And look, Tech right now, Mike, I can't blame Brent Kia for this, but feels like they're leaking. It feels like they're leaking right now.
You got to be able to navigate the portal. I would say that if you are a Georgia Tech fan, you're no different than any other coach out there. I saw some coaches. I thought it was like the USTA Roadrunners coach was out there saying, "I'm losing my entire team." Guys can't field teams for a bowl game. Florida State. I mean, literally going to have an entire team of freshmen. It looks like, because anybody that was worth a damn is leaving. And that's the thing. Brent Key may have already anticipated that Buster Faulkner was going to Gainesville and he was going to lose Aaron Philo. But, still, I mean, I haven't heard anything yet about, where's that decision coming? And hopefully there are some things in play, and he's got some staff that's coming on and it has a handle on replacing these pieces, because no way you want to see Tech take a big step backwards. And then we're in the same spot we were with Paul Johnson, where you're telling me we can only have a run every 3 or 4 years when a guy like Haynes King sticks around? Fans can't buy that.
Yeah, and here's the difference, and I think most people, college football fans, know this. When Georgia loses players, it's just not as big of a deal because you've got 4 and 5 star guys that could step in and who have been recruited and want to be there because of what Georgia's been competing for, which is national championships, and they've got another chance to do that this year. Georgia Tech is not quite in that position, so losing these key players becomes a little bit more difficult to replace. We don't even make a big stink, to be honest with you, Mike, about Georgia when they do have a guy that goes into the portal. It's like,
Right.
okay, big deal.
Right.
That's
right.
because of the depth that Kirby has created, and it's just not as big of a deal when it happens there. All right, man, we got a lot more to dive into today at 2 o'clock. Real quick, we talked about Alex Anthopoulos in the interview. You'll hear it today. He joined us on Tuesday. Mike, we didn't get a chance to get your takeaway yesterday on this, but Dede and I were talking about it and how thorough AA seems like he has been this offseason so far. I don't think he's done, but if you just look at the team right now and what he's been able to do, and then you throw in the fact that everybody is expected to be healthy coming back at the start of spring, it looks very promising for the Braves. I don't know what the season's going to bring, but I think when the season starts, did AA do what he needed to do? How do you feel about that right now?
Yeah, you know me, and Carl gets so used to this. We've been working together since 14, and every year I go, more pitching. Only because, you're betting on Schwellenbach being right. You're betting on Strider getting back to total, complete Strider-ness. Sale is no young spring chicken, too. He conked out halfway through the season, then came back. And then, Hurston Waldrop, he's pitched, I think it was about 155, 160 innings last year between minors and pros. You're going to lean on him to do more next year. So I'd love to find, and it's not a name guy. It's not like you got to go get, I'm not talking one of Scott Boras's $200 million guys. And those guys, by the way, are finding the market a little slim. You got to go find an innings eater. One of those guys that you recognize the name, or maybe you don't, that can be that 4th or 5th guy to help the Braves get through. And then maybe we're always used to Alex pulling somebody at the trade deadline. I just don't want to be going through like Yoris Chorizo and all these other bums that we seem to have to go pick up. Yeah, mid-season. So, or the Odor Readers guy, Odorizzi from the Astros. Don't want to be in that position. That's the only thing I'd like to see them go and get. And I always bellyache about Terry McGurk tightening the purse strings because we're top 5 in payroll. And Alex says, hey, he said, now he can say things and do something else, but he says that's not the case, that they still give him some flexibility.
Yeah. You'll get a chance to hear the full interview today. By the way, we're going till 6:30. Hawks play tonight. Got to mention Trae Young before we get out of here. He is listed as questionable, which means he could easily play tonight. I don't know, Mike. I think Dede, he'll probably have some minutes restrictions. I don't think he'll be out there the entire time. He'll just kind of working back in. If he plays tonight or if he plays over the next couple of days, I think it's a back-to-back tonight and tomorrow. But either way, I'm excited to see what this team looks like with Trae, and he's going to make his way back. He is with the team, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to seeing it. And again, man, this team has been playing well, so it's going to be interesting to see, what Quinn Snyder's approach will be as far as, the rotation. And the biggest thing you guys have touched on it, like, can we keep the ball moving the way it's moved? I think the biggest takeaway I feel is now that we've seen that teams can't look at Jalen Johnson anymore as just like, okay, like you kind of got to be really concerned. I think maybe in years past, you kind of knew he was a good guy, but you kind of maybe sort of worried more so about him in transition basketball. I think now he's proven that, no, you got to worry about me in half-court basketball when this ball is in a half-court set when the ball is in my hand and not just Trae. So I think it's going to be, again, interesting to see how Quinn kind of rotates everything. The production we get from now, does that move to the bench? Does he kind of move into like a 6-man role for whenever Trae's off the court, things of that nature? So, yeah, man, looking forward to seeing Trae get back. If it's tonight, hopefully it's tonight. If not, just looking forward to seeing him get back.
And we just want to see Trae and this thing mesh. I mean, we were talking about 4 seed, 3 seed. I want to see this. This is the best group of talent that Trae's had, young talent, because I would put this group up again. Now, again, we're going to see how they handle the playoffs, but there's more upside and talent on this squad than there was with the 21 team that went to the conference finals. There was no Jalen Johnson. Nobody like Jalen Johnson on that team in 21.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I apologize. I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at anything you guys are saying. I just had 2 sisters walk by who are shopping as well, and they thought I might be filming them because my camera is facing towards them. So they literally stopped and were like, "You getting me on film?" No, you're fine. Go ahead. So I was laughing at that. We also got to talk about, Mike, we didn't get a chance to talk about this the other day because there's been so much going on. I'm going to go see Avatar tonight. This is a movie that's out. and you were talking about the reviews, and we got into a great conversation off the air, and we're going to bring it to you guys today about, at one point, no matter if it was movies or television, I just don't know if it's the same. There are certain shows that come and they hit, but it doesn't have that lasting feel that it once did when you talk about everybody talking about a particular movie or a sequel. In this case, I think this is the third Avatar. Anyways, we got into this conversation, and we started talking about Star Wars.
Right. The cultural impact that Star Wars has, other genres have. Is this just a movie that people like? They like it, and it's more about the generation. We'll get into that, and also the classic debate day. We'll get Orange take as well. We know that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so why isn't Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie? We'll talk about that, guys.
It's a good point. It's a good point. All right, man. That's coming up today. Make sure you're there. 2:00. We'll be back in studio today, guys. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We appreciate you guys being here on the Behind the Curtain. We'll talk to you guys at 2:00.